Hi, guys. Welcome back. Question the Answer.
Welcome back.
Yeah, some fun topics today.
do.
I'm excited. The first topic is really, really gross.
It's gross. And I feel terrible for the lady.
Wait. Before we get into it, I found this picture just for you. Can you see what that says? It says testicular injuries among female athletes will skyrocket in 2030.
What a prediction.
It's got Mr. Biden pointing to a graph. I don't even know where I found that.
Oh, amazing. It's sad.
Well, that's
true.
where we're heading, because you bet they're going to get injured.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. As a female athlete, if you're playing against a transgender.
think about all the trainers, like the trainers that have to deal with all of these people.
No, I'm saying this is going to take like hair pulling to another level.
Hair pulling or something else.
Yeah, really. Okay, let's move on to the first topic. I heard this story and I thought that it was just...
I had to double take on the headline a couple times. I'm like, what do you mean that this happened?
So, passenger on board Delta airline, diarrhea plane ordeal.
Mayday.
It was dribbled down the aisle and smelled horrible.
Okay.
So,
Can you imagine the horror for both parties? The one that it happened to, and then the rest of the passengers. You are stuck on a plane in the air.
wait.
And the plane, it was leaving from Atlanta, and it was on its way to Spain. So not a quick flight.
9 hours.
And had to
8 hours.
turn around and go back to Atlanta because there was a biohazard, meaning diarrhea.
So here's the recording from the cockpit.
It's just a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so they want us to come back to Atlanta.
I mean, good for the pilot. He sounds calm. I think from what I read in the article, it was a Yahoo News article of passengers kind of describing the incident. They did.
Oh, yeah.
They did. There was some mixed comments, but a lot of people said the crew handled it great.
Yeah, well, they have to.
They
It's
had to
their
rip the
job.
carpet out.
It's their job. Well,
They scrubbed the plane, and then they did allow passengers to get back on.
so
and make
it
their
is
way.
Delta Flight 194. I think that's correct. Oh, DL 194. I will never take that plane. No, thank you. So this woman. Here's my question: how does it dribble out?
Well, it's diarrhea.
Yeah, but if you're wearing pants, like
Maybe she wasn't wearing pants. She's going to Spain. Maybe she's got a skirt on.
oh,
Maybe
I'm
she's
like,
got
what do you mean
shorts.
I'm like, what do you mean she's not wearing pants? She's walked out in her underwear.
I mean, where's
Somebody-
the Pepto-Bismol when you need it?
But somebody was like, well, maybe she was wearing sweatpants. Blech. I don't know. If you don't,
Well, but was she running up the aisle or
I
probably
don't-
to the bath? Yeah, she probably was trying to make her way to the bathroom and
but
couldn't.
did you see the pictures?
I saw it. I
That's
wish
a
I didn't.
lot.
I wish I didn't.
This is like your entire insides coming out. Here's some pictures for you. You notice in the aisle, I mean,
it is.
How does that much make it on the floor?
It is down there.
we've all had diarrhea. It happens to the
that
best
looks,
of us.
I mean, that's not like that. I hope she's okay. I mean, that looks severe.
There was someone on X, not Twitter, X.
I think I have the same
that
quote.
posted this. It was pretty
Yes.
bad. The vanilla scented disinfectant used on the plane only made it smell like vanilla shit.
I mean, think how mortifying. If
would
I
you
was,
do?
I would leave planet Earth.
I would
Where's
get
that flight
sick.
to Mars? Put me on it. I never want to
No,
come
not
back
if you
here.
were the woman. If you were a passenger,
I'd be throwing up. I don't know.
I would be too. I would be very, very sick after this. I mean, to smell somebody else's.
and you're stuck. There's no circulation on an airplane. Think about that.
Well, yeah, it circulates, but it's just
No, but you're in a tight.
recirculates.
You're in a tight. Apparently, it didn't reach first class. So there were people in first class saying,
They didn't
didn't have to-
They didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Actually, they didn't. Could you imagine taking a sleeping pill, thinking you're waking up in Barcelona
and you're back in Atlanta.
because somebody shit themselves all over the plane? Imagine getting that announcement over the.
Oh my
Plus, the people that had to get off had to walk
Had to
through
walk
that.
on that.
Burn your shoes.
Burn everything.
Burn your shoes.
Burn everything. Burn it all.
You-
Best wishes to this woman and her stomach.
Don't get on a plane for 8
Maybe
hours.
she ate bad airport food.
Now, that I can get on track with because I against my better judgment, bought sushi one time in an airport, and yes, I
Why
threw
would
up
you
on
buy
the plane.
sushi in an airport?
I was hungry, and it was the only place open.
Sushi?
I was hungry, and it was the only place open. I will never eat sushi again.
Well, no
but,
kidding. This is high quality stuff here.
And I remember sitting in the seat, and I was on the aisle, and this was during COVID. So, and all of a sudden, I started sweating, and my friend
Through your
next to
mask?
me, through my mask, yeah, yes. And all of a sudden, my friend was like, "Are you okay?" And I go, "I'm gonna black out. I'm gonna black out." And I go and I grab for the throw up bag because I do not throw up. Like I think
Same. I really don't either.
I can count on one hand how many times I've thrown up in my life. Like I just don't throw up, and I threw up unfortunately because I had to get the food out of me. And
the sushi, the high quality
you know,
sushi.
and the stewardess like wouldn't even help. She was like, she had a bag and she was like, "Here you go."
Well, think about
Here
it.
you go.
What are they going to do?
She didn't want to come anywhere near me.
It's like that scene from Bridesmaids where they get food poisoning and they're trying on the dresses.
It's the worst scene
and
ever.
Kristen, what's her name? Kristen Wiig. She's like trying to act like she doesn't have food poisoning. Meanwhile, the rest of them are like exploding in the bathroom. And she's dripping sweat through her dress. And the one bridesmaid who like didn't eat the food was like, "Are you feeling okay? Like you don't look okay." And she's like, "I am good. I actually am hungry and wish I had a snack." And she's like forced to eat the little Jordan almond, and she like loses it. Like that's what
you even know the name of the Jordan.
Yeah, because she was
almond.
like trying to prove that she was fine, and she's dying,
Sweating,
literally
dripping
dying.
sweat. But how clean are planes? Doesn't that kind of make you wonder? So just a couple of recent experiences that have been posted on a social media site.
How clean are planes?
Recent experiences shared by dozens of travelers.
I don't want to know this.
They've come across feces spread on the lavatory walls, airplane seats covered with fresh chewing gum and puppy poo. There was a traveler stuck sitting next to a passenger in first class who soiled themselves on a flight from Minneapolis to D.C. People have been sprayed with vomit. Travelers who were removed from the Air Canada flight after refusing to sit in vomit-soaked seats. That actually happened on August 26th.
What airlines are these happening on? Like Spirit or like Delta or American or like what airlines are these on?
All of them. Now,
No.
I was reading a blogger that does travel a lot, and he says, listen, these are few and far between, but it kind of makes you wonder how the seats are clean. I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing that came out of COVID, there was one really good thing, is that they now hand that little alcohol wipe to you.
That you can wipe.
I
down.
take that out. I ask for 2, and I wipe everything down before I even sit into the chair. And it stinks like alcohol. People hate me for it, but I'm like, sorry. Like, I know they're not cleaning these things in between
But I guess
flights.
they could go for any form of public transportation. Like how clean are the buses and how clean? I mean, it's all not great.
And I'm not someone who believes in like sterilizing the world. I'm really not. I believe in like germs, and you got to build your immunity up
Sure.
for germs. Like you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like I'm not someone who believes in sterilizing everything, but I also don't want to ever be on DL 194.
Well, props to the crew who had no choice but to deal with this. They did the Lord's work that day, and we wish this woman the best.
Best wishes to this lady and her stomach.
Speedy recovery.
Ugh.
And hopefully this is just going to get buried in the news, and, hopefully she'll never have to think about it again.
Now, I don't know if because they boarded the plane 8 hours later because they made it to Barcelona
Yes.
8 hours after their expected arrival time. And it wouldn't say if she was back on that flight.
I'm going to assume no.
You never know these days, you know?
I think she actually, the ambulance, I think they took her, from what I read, to obviously seek medical
I mean, it's a lot
attention.
of diarrhea.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I'm drinking my
Diarrhea-colored coffee. Let's move on to something a little bit more
exciting
interesting.
and not as gross.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Nessie.
So when you called it Nessie, all that comes up in my mind is, do you know in Twilight, I don't know, the 17th movie they made off of it, but she was like, you named my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster? Do you remember
When
that?
Bella had her kid?
Yeah, and she just found out that the werewolf imprinted on her.
Oh,
And he called her Nessie.
Yes, did he?
Yeah, he did. And she's like, you named my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
I was big into Twilight. I'm surprised I didn't remember that.
It's on every day if you
know.
want to watch it. Like every single day they're playing it. So
Yes.
So good news, Loch Ness Monster search is on.
It's on and bigger than ever.
They've had so many volunteers apparently that they now are like saying, "Don't come, please just use a sign up list and we'll call you."
But how great is that? I mean, it's getting, attention. I think, it's bringing excitement to a new group of people. I would totally go.
So
to
a little
search.
You want to see what it looks like up there right now?
Let's see.
Little, and this guy's the greatest British accent.
The monster in Loch Ness. The world has a right to know.
Is there something out there? This morning, dozens are gathered for the biggest hunt for the Loch Ness Monster in 50 years, joining a 2-day search.
So, obvious question, are you going to find Nessie this time?
It's always a possibility, absolutely. But we're not going to solve this in 2 days. People have been trying to solve
Just a
this
happy
for
man.
decades.
He's just so happy.
So we have to be realistic about it.
I've been coming up here for 10 years now.
Adventurer Dave Holton, one of roughly 100 volunteers.
Yeah, I've just got an affinity with Loch Ness.
Coming short on luck,
Oh, she's not here.
but Holton keeping hope alive.
Not
So-
here.
Not here.
Not here.
Yeah. Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster?
I do.
Why do people still believe in this?
I think it's just something fun to believe in.
Okay, but people have given up on the Bigfoot thing.
Have they, though?
You're right, they haven't.
I feel like Bigfoot's still another one of those,
You're
like...
right, they're still making shows about it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Loch Ness... I mean, who knows if it's real or not, but I think just the mystery of it is what's so, like, exciting to people.
It is intriguing. This is the famous photo.
Yes, the debunked photo.
Yeah, apparently this was in 1934. This famous hoax photograph of the Loch Ness Monster was released in 1934. One of the participants in the ruse, Chris Spruling, revealed on his deathbed that the picture was staged by himself.
How disappointing.
And others. He had to come clean before he was going to
Well,
be
at least he-
accepted.
At least he cleared his conscience. How cute would that be, though, if that was like...
I mean, it doesn't look like a monster to me,
No, it looks
but
like a little...
it's also a fake photo.
Yeah, it is not real.
So, researchers and monster hunters are gathering in the United Kingdom's Scottish Highlands this weekend to look for the eternally elusive Loch Ness Monster. This is the biggest search in 50 years.
Yeah.
Can you do a Scottish accent?
No, I wouldn't even begin to try.
Can you?
No.
Can you?
No.
Let's hear it.
I can't. I can't.
That one's a hard... Like, that's hard, I feel like, Scottish.
Yeah, and it's a cool accent.
It is cool.
It's a really cool accent.
But
So-
no, we're not going to... I don't want to offend anybody.
Now, they're only looking in one area. It's not like this is worldwide. It's like a 22 square miles and with a maximum depth of 788 feet. Loch Ness is Great Britain's largest lake by volume and second largest by surface area. This is according to Encyclopedia Britannica.
I just think any large body of water in general, like, I feel like there's so many things we have no idea about. Like, even in our oceans, like, we have not tapped into half of that.
So in Hawaii, everyone's like, you want to snorkel? You want to scuba dive? My answer is absolutely not. I don't care what lives under the water. I don't want to
We don't want to bother it. They live there. I live here.
Yeah, I was good with The Little Mermaid. Thanks for a little glimpse.
Yes.
Some of those things are really, really weird looking. I've
seen pictures on the internet of things people discover, and absolutely not. You couldn't pay me enough to do that.
Yeah, I'm good with land. I don't. Not that I don't care. I just don't want to know because it will scare the crap out of me.
Or you'll die. Like, you...
You know, my problem with all of this is, what are we going to do
if it's real?
It's a plesiosaurus, which is what they think it is, or close to it. What are we going to do? What is mankind famous for doing?
We're capturing it and putting it in a zoo
Or
and
killing it, or we got the other type of folks out there trying to
breed it.
Well, I mean, look what we've done to almost every animal in Africa.
So maybe we'll like hybrid it. So we'll pair it with like a giraffe, and we can have like a Loch Ness giraffe monster.
I just think we would do something
ruin
to
it.
probably kill it. I mean,
I
in the
know.
long run. So
My hope is that this thing is real, but it's so smart that it's just going to mess with people till the end of time.
Okay, but there's also no proof or bones or body or
Well, there's
whatever.
been more recent sightings
Okay.
with some
Do
new
you have any?
images. Yeah, this little dot
I'm
here.
supposed to believe that's a Loch Ness monster.
Look at
Why?
Isn't that proof enough that little thing? It's just probably a log. Is the Loch Ness monster, and this one.
Oh, that must be it.
This was from a photo taken by her name's Chi, I believe, Kelly. She is a photographer, and she happened to capture this. She thought at first it was maybe 2 otters or an eel or something, but she's convinced that is Nessie.
When did this all start? Loch Ness. So,
Well, 1934 was when this picture was taken.
No, it was before that. So the first written accounts of the monster are attributed to the Irish monk Saint Columba's encounter in 565 AD. Reports of the creature in the lake are depicted in ancient stone carvings found in the area.
Interesting.
But 1993 is when the couple was driving along the newly built road in the lake and saw the prehistoric monster, according to Scottish Maritime Museum. So this goes all the way back to 565 AD. That is, AD stands for after death.
You're right. After Jesus Christ's death.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
BC before Christ, AD after.
I just figured it'd be AC. I don't. Oh my God!
After
I need
Christ.
some of these things. I need to go back to school on. Oh my God! And I went to a Catholic school. That's what's really sad. Ugh.
Not that I was jumping in on that response either.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. AD.
We'll say our prayers. So, yes, there's been more recent sightings, and like we said, this is the biggest search party. Apparently, there's an official Loch Ness monster sighting register, and there's been a total of 1,148 sightings recorded.
That's it.
I know, kind of seems like
Doesn't
there'd be
seem like
more.
a lot over
but
that
maybe
many years.
These are people that have actually gone in and taken the time to record that they saw something. So I'm sure is more than that, but. Yeah, so we'll see what turns up, but I think it's fascinating.
I think we should put ourselves on the wait list just to see what happens.
We should, and we should make if we get invited, like a live, like a vlog or something.
Yeah, of us searching for
Of
something
us
that
being
probably doesn't
really
exist.
helpful. I'm sure we would be. I just think it's fun.
Speaking of big crowds, let's move on to our city in New York is going through this right now, but we have migrants everywhere.
Everywhere. Come on, come all. And, now that it's, obviously this has been an issue in many areas, but now that it's kind of expanding, now people are up in arms about it because why? It's affecting them personally now. So for example, Texas has bused over 35,000 migrants to self-declared sanctuary cities.
It's more than that.
From that number, 11,300 went to D.C., over 13,000 went to New York City, over 6,000 went to Chicago, and then you got Philadelphia had a couple thousand, and then Denver and L.A.
I had trouble finding these numbers because I kept getting conflicting numbers, and my video for Eric Adams is not coming up.
I have it too if you want me to.
I for some reason, I landed on the number of 100,000 migrants in New York City. I didn't think that was accurate. I thought it was more towards the number that you said.
At one point, I think they said 87,000 was the number that was being thrown around. But in Mayor Eric Adams' most recent speech, he was saying 13,000. So people are wondering where are the other 87,000.
In my opinion, I don't think they know.
I mean, how do you keep track?
I don't think they know.
How do you keep track?
So
this is Mayor Adams.
Which, before you play this, let's just be clear. In 2016, our leadership in our state, in New York State, declared that we will always be a sanctuary city. And then this clown gets voted into office and then says that he will maintain our sanctuary city status. Now, this is him today.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Boo-hoo.
One time we were just in Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you asked me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us?
I don't have enough middle fingers for this individual right now.
It's mind-boggling.
What a
It's mind-boggling. Because now that it's coming into your neighborhood, it's a problem now. Now you think it's a problem.
So Governor Abbott said this: before we started busing illegal immigrants up to New York, it was just a Texas and Arizona that bore the brunt of all the chaos and all the problems that come with it. Now the rest of America is understanding exactly what is going on. And we don't even have that many. I don't think we should have even close to this number, but if we had actual border policies and we didn't just get into office, I don't know, 2.5 years ago and just wipe out all the policies that were working when Trump was in office, I can't even believe this is the position that this individual is taking when he literally said, we're going to support this when he got into his office. This is the things that boil my blood when it comes to politics.
There's always a double standard. And the best videos that I love, I don't know if you've seen them. I've seen them on Instagram. It's like these people from whatever platforms they're on, they go up to random people on the street and they are asking if they support migrants coming into their neighborhoods and housing them and getting them, shelter and place to stay. And, a lot of them are like, yes, absolutely. I'm all for this. I think people should be doing that. And then they're like, okay, can you write down your address here and we'll have some sent to your house. And then they all of a sudden backtrack. They're not for it. They don't think that's right to do. And it's like, oh, really? But you think you're pointing your finger at everybody else that they should? But when it comes time to actually make the decision or make the call for yourself, you're not for it.
And guess what, New Yorkers? That number that he quoted in the beginning of that very bizarre speech of his little tantrum he was having, we pay for this. We are paying for this. The first day of school was at some point this week. You either went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on where you go to school. New York City students were forced into a different facility as illegal immigrants flood schools on the first day of school.
Well, that's the thing.
Could you imagine your child being sent to a different building because they need all these new children that are here and need to be educated are now in our schools?
And if you don't think this is going to affect your kid's school, it's going to.
Well, and your child now goes to the back of the line. It's like let them in, but don't send them here. That's kind of what we're saying. Like, do what I say, not what I do.
Right. And apparently, in New York City's surging migrant population is set to double by June 2024, which, that's wonderful. And there was this little blurb about schools from a New York Post article. And it's the city's instructions to schools regarding the huge number of migrant children being added to the classrooms. So some of it is saying, students may not arrive speaking English. Schools should find a teacher who speaks that language if available. If not available, then use federal funding to hire some translators.
Because there's so many teachers just on call right now.
Who have,
right.
Who
are bilingual.
Exactly.
Not to mention, it's like all the languages you have to cover right now. And the northern border is now becoming a problem. They're now going through the north part of the border.
Yep.
Because just
they're wide open,
in, guys. We'll just pay for everything.
Have you seen the videos? They're wide open.
I believe there is no other country on the planet
that does this,
that is allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
We literally have an open border policy, and we've had it since this
President
vacation? Yes, has been in office. And you know what? You can say on one hand you're glad that all these northern blue states are starting to feel the pain, but we are all going to be suffering.
Right.
We live in New York. We saw this coming. And in one part of me is glad it's starting to hit home here. But people got to start waking up and truly believe that their votes matter. And they better start listening to their politicians' policies, because this is why we're in the mess we're in.
You know what my true belief of what the biggest difference between the right and the left is? The right understands long-term consequences. The left doesn't care about long-term consequences. They want to Band-Aid everything to make everybody feel better. I feel like it's a completely different mindset between the right and the left.
We should all feel a little bit at ease, though, because Kathy Hochul did decide to speak up on this
funny.
last month.
Like, so you say Kathy because I call her. There she is. And I said, and then there's her.
Oh, this woman.
So finally, though, Kathy and Mr. Eric Adams are finally getting along about something, and this is the issue that they are getting along on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I had the same thing. It was just the fact that she's now deciding to say something about it, and she's demanding now that our president addresses this issue and does something about it.
She's just as dumb, though. She goes, we've managed thus far without substantiative support from Washington. New York has shouldered this burden for far too long. Are you kidding me? Do you know what Arizona and Texas and Florida have to shoulder? How dare you?
It's the Twilight Zone.
You wanted them here. We have countless unfilled jobs that are begging for someone to just take them. This is what this lunatic is saying in front of people. You have unfilled jobs because you're paying people to sit their ass at home and do nothing.
Yeah, you're enabling people to just hang out, basically.
And it's $1.2 billion. There's the number again that we have paid. Me, you, and everyone else in this state is paying to support these illegal immigrants. And let's just clarify real quick. I believe in immigration.
100%.
I do not believe in illegal immigration.
No.
There is a system. Like AJ pointed out, every country has a process to enter into their country and to be a citizen.
We do not anymore.
And people will crucify us for putting a system into place. Trump was crucified over this, for putting the same system into place that other countries have been doing for years. Other countries build walls. There's plenty of them around the world.
And again, he was doing that to enforce the correct policy, which would be go through the process of immigration. Not just having people frolicking over with picnic baskets, basically, just to come right over and find a home.
I mean, we don't know who these people are. We don't know what they've done, and they have found some pretty nasty people. So this picture of Eric Adams shaking all these migrant hands, and even the picture above, what do you notice about this picture? Because one of the claims was it's women and children. It's women and children. I don't see.
No, it's
where
it's
are
really
they?
not.
Women and children.
And if you see a lot of those pictures that have come out from people coming across the border, there's not a lot of women and children that you see.
Nope. This is all men, all single men.
Yep.
I don't know if they're single. Maybe they have girlfriends or something. I'm just saying, but it's single men that are coming over. And there's nothing wrong with men, but don't gaslight us into thinking it's people that actually need a refugee status, like a mother and a child. It's a little bit different. An asylum seeker is a person who has left their country and is seeking protection from persecution and serious human rights violations in another country, but who hasn't yet been legally recognized as a refugee and is waiting to receive a decision on their asylum claim. These people... we've taken the word asylum seeker and we've like just made it so general. I mean, at this point, it's once again, like you said, come one, come all.
That's what it is at this point.
Just check asylum seeker on the application. Go on your way.
You're in a cartel? Come on in.
I mean, we talked about the children trafficking problem. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to get upset over that again.
I mean, do you really believe that we have a record of these people that are supposedly called asylum seekers, and we're actually going to have agencies now interview them, every one of them? You think we're it's
absolutely not.
So now Chicago. Let's move on to a different state. So another sanctuary state, a little grumpy over this. Did you know that Chicago is now housing migrants in their airport, in Chicago O'Hare Airport, behind a black curtain?
I feel like anything flies in Chicago at this point.
They have to go through security to get to this location they're at?
I don't think security applies to them. I don't think any of the requirements that Americans are expected to background checks or you know, in all seriousness, the city of Chicago has not recovered from the lockdowns and the looting of Lightfoot. Now we are in the throes of the violent crime and the migrant crisis of Mayor Johnson. This is, there are millions upon millions of dollars being spent on this migrant crisis.
As far as like security-wise, what rules do they have to follow? And he says there aren't any. So we have to act a certain way in an airport, and we have to have all of our stuff rifled through 14 times.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get through to the airport and just wait in a seat. And nothing is being done with these people.
And they're just staying there for as long as they need?
They need, yeah. So more than 400 migrants are reportedly being housed in a section in the airport, hidden from public view behind a black curtain.
You can't make this stuff up.
But good
You really
news,
can't.
Megan. The Biden administration is now considering forcing migrants who cross into the United States to now remain
Texas?
in Texas while they wait out their asylum screening. So big idea coming from the White House.
And once again, Texas bears the brunt of it.
Of course.
That's why they're busing these people they can't handle. I swear to God, like, does anybody in the White House understand crowd control?
Clearly not.
We don't know if these, and we're about in our next topic, which is, the comeback of COVID. We don't know. You wanna sit here and shove COVID down our throats? Then don't let all these people who could possibly bring more COVID into the country without vetting them.
And not to mention, like, schools, for example, right? So in order for your kids to go to school, they have to be up to date on their immunizations, right?
Yeah.
Not COVID. No. But so with these migrants coming in, right? Kids that are coming across and just being sent to schools, do you think they're all up to date on their immunizations? Do you think anybody's checking for that?
No.
No, of course
No.
not. They're
My
just
God.
they're being allowed to come in and attend and given supplies and, given translators. And it's like, well, how is that fair? How is that fair?
It's not.
How is it safe?
And how is it safe?
It's not.
How is that okay? But we're allowing it. We're allowing it.
It's because
Meanwhile, if you don't hand in that form in the beginning of every year, your kid can't go.
How many dual systems of justice do you think there are in this country? I feel like there's a lot right now.
Yes.
This group of people we're going to treat this way, but this group of people we're going to treat that way. This person's going to get let off of all these things, but
Yes.
that person we're going to crucify until, I don't know, whatever.
It's just infuriating to me, honestly, especially with things like this, because it's like you have hardworking people who live here in the United States who bust their butt, who want their kids to get an education, who, just want or are trying to just do good. And meanwhile, you got things like this going on. And it's like, how is that okay? It's like a slap in the face.
Well, what about the homeless Americans that live in New York City that don't get these beautiful shelters to go to and a dining room and showering facilities? I mean, what about those Americans?
Right.
They're not being treated half as well as these illegal immigrants who, by the way, have no responsibility to this country.
None.
They have zero. They just want the free stuff.
I feel like we're so focused on taking care of everyone else outside of America than we are our own people. That's what it feels like half the time.
Well, I mean, and now you have the administration saying that they're not going to send the funds to Maui unless we approve the Ukraine package. Did you see that story?
I didn't, and I wish I never heard about it.
So we have to sacrifice our own people to send a country more money, again, that we have no idea where this money is going. And we're going to hold our own people hostage over it?
It's so disturbing.
It's odd. I mean, if you guys don't, once again, you don't need to take our words for it. All this information's public. You can just go look it up. Yeah, there you go. Now that we're nice and fired up.
Yeah, let's go back to the Loch Ness.
Well, I mean, it turns out that the border crisis is more fun when you can lecture about tolerance and acceptance to poor border towns without having to put your New York City-sized budget where your mouth is.
Yep.
So there you go to our leadership. You opened your mouth. Here they are. And this is the consequence. Once again, long-term consequences. Let's start thinking about that instead of Band-Aid fixes and just, once again, lecturing everybody about tolerance and acceptance.
Have fun dealing with it now. We'll see what actions they take.
COVID.
Remember COVID?
That calms us down. Let's talk about COVID.
Yeah. Pulse check. Pulse. Yeah, so COVID, because this virus is just the smartest of the smartest viruses. It knows exactly when to come around.
I have to, when I have to talk about COVID, I have to do a little bit, get up from my desk, leave, go talk to someone
Go
who
scream in a
makes
pillow.
me happy. come back to my desk, do a little bit more. I thought that, and I'm going to start with a story that is completely unrelated to COVID. Okay. However, it links directly into COVID with the gaslighting that's happening. So you guys remember the story of President Vacation, President Biden. He's giving out a Medal of Honor to a veteran who is in his 80s, I believe, who's done incredible things for this country, put his life on the line, and just served in a way that was incredible. So we're awarding him with a medal, and Mr. Biden, President Biden, just leaves. He puts the medal on the gentleman and leaves, and everyone is left in a big old state of confusion here.
And this will link into COVID because this was after his wife, Dr. Jill
I'll
Biden.
Get there. I will get there. All right, let's watch the confused president.
The guy's just up here. He's like, oh, my job here's done.
The people are like, what?
Where's the ice cream?
Just leaves.
And like, can you imagine the guy that got the medal? He's just like, do I get off?
He was because there's a whole prayer that happens after. There's like a sign off.
Well, usually, I mean, yes, this you're taking time to acknowledge the incredible service of this human being, and you're just like, I'm out. I was able to clasp the medal.
He barely was.
I know.
He struggled with that.
We did that, and that to him was probably like top. Like,
I
number
think he
one,
just checked out.
Put the medal on. Number 2, leave.
The funnier thing to me is the people in the room. And there's videos that will show the whole room. And if you see his Secret Service agents, even his Secret Service agents are like, they're getting like their little...
He's loose.
He's coming. Like, they didn't know what was going on. And even the press, because the press gets the schedule of the event. So the press is like, everyone's
checking their pamphlet like, I think there's supposed to be something.
Where's he going? So you have that happened. Now, like Meghan mentioned, there was the day before where Jill Biden, who's been boosted and
boosted. Well, doctors, don't forget Dr. Jill.
Whatever. She gets the Rona. She tested positive. So then that was Tuesday. The medal ceremony kerfuffle, God bless you, was Tuesday. This is Wednesday with Karine Jean-Pierre, my favorite employee. She holds a briefing about Jill Biden and the White House COVID policies. So here they are.
Since the president was with the First Lady yesterday, he will be masking while indoors and around people in alignment with CDC guidance. And as has been the practice in the past, the president will remove his mask when sufficiently distanced from others indoors and while outside as well.
Meanwhile, he's breathing on this man's neck.
So there's the COVID masking policy, which clearly wasn't followed in the previous video. I didn't see a mask. I know he walked in with one.
He was holding one. He never put it on.
And then in the middle of this very large room with lots of people, just leaves it off. And once again, I don't believe in masks. I don't think you should be wearing one, period. However, these are their policies. So then she follows it up. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Then she follows it up and tries to twist things. And this is, I'm so sick of being treated like I was born yesterday.
As I said he would, to deliver incredibly powerful remarks about this captain, Captain Taylor, and what he did in service to our nation. And he wanted to honor the captain. And for a brief time afterwards, he also didn't have his mask on, as you just laid out. And he left as planned, as it was planned. He left when there was a pause in the program in order to minimize his close contact with attendees who are about to participate in a reception. And as you all reported that, noticed that he left when there was a pause in the program, because again, he wanted to minimize certainly his impact on folks who were there.
Do you believe her?
Well, then you got, and then we'll play this clip of the president himself.
Explain to the press, I've been tested again today. I'm clear across the board. But they keep telling me because this has to be 10 days or something, I got to keep wearing it, but don't tell them I didn't have it on when I walked in. All right.
Did you know that they can
The president
see you?
tested negative a couple of hours
Sir,
before this event. He tested negative
Did you
yesterday.
forget you're the president and that people are watching you?
I don't think he knows he's
So
president.
let me get this. So he was supposed to be masking indoors with people.
For 10
He's
days.
literally sniffing an 80-year-old's back of his neck as he's putting the medal on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that
And then he's
any of that
joking
makes-
about it.
And then he's joking about it. Does any of that make sense?
None of it makes sense, but they're going to keep twisting it and gaslighting us until...
Because they know they have to do damage control, right? And
I just think she's going to have a really hard time forcing that narrative of the COVID policies when you have the guy in leadership not doing what the policies are. I don't know. Honestly, this would have been something, if I was them, I would have ignored, like they do with everything else that comes out that's major.
I'm just saying, like, how anybody can possibly sit there and say, per the CDC guidelines at this point in time, is comical to me.
This would have been a good time for her to be like, I need to refer you to
Yeah.
somebody else to answer those questions. Why even bother? Because the explanation is worse than the actual offense. So
It's just garbage. Once again, you think you're out of it. Obviously
We are
COVID's
out of it.
around. It's, COVID's not going to go away. It's going to be like the flu. And I think it's kind of common sense that there's going to be upticks of cases around certain seasons of the year. But instead, there's an election coming up, so
Isn't that
we start hearing
funny?
about COVID and the new vaccine coming out and the talk of masks again.
it's
and it's
weird.
like,
It's weird that this only happens during election
that's what I was saying. This
year.
virus is extremely smart.
Yeah, we didn't do this last year. It's just weird.
And
Well, I think you got to all understand that, this COVID SARS virus, very, very contagious. It mutates more than the flu does. It's here to stay.
Right.
We will never be able to keep up with it.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, AJ. Dr. Robert Malone, who is the original inventor of the mRNA platform used in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, he wrote a Substack that kind of broke down exactly what you just said, is that we historically cannot keep up with viruses. And to sit there and give people false hope that the old vaccine is going to work for the new variant is just giving people hope. It's not giving people facts or actual data.
Right.
Not to mention suppressing what this vaccine actually does in people's bodies, because there's now more information released about that than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just break down the numbers, okay? These are the daily cases. There's a graph for you, very fancy graph. We are averaging about 14,097 new cases a day. Let me stress, that is cases. There have been only 41 deaths per day. That is a 0.3% rate. So 41 people die a day that have COVID, that they're not dying from COVID, they just happen to be testing positive. So even if you're in a car accident, unfortunately, or if you have a gunshot and you pass, if you test positive, they're putting you into the COVID death number. Now let's put that into perspective for everybody. On average, 200 to 300 people per day die from opioid and fentanyl overdose. So why aren't we just as up in arms about this?
I agree.
Because it's not as flashy as the COVID thing. It's not.
We've put, what do you think, millions, billions of dollars into this whole thing. So we got to push the narrative. But it's just like, okay, we all had to deal with it for years. Have we not learned at this point? Do what you feel best for yourself. If you want to get the vaccine, another booster, or whatever, and because that's what makes you feel comfortable and like you're doing something to protect yourself, go for it. If you don't. If you feel like masking, go ahead. But like leave everybody to do their own thing.
That's not going to happen.
This talk, now I'm seeing all these things about potential mask wearing again. Fauci just had an interview recently that said there's a potential return to mask wearing due to an uptick in COVID cases.
Well, MSNBC is really pushing this because they just had Dr. Gupta on, and he wants everyone older than 6 months to get a COVID booster. This guy's
nuts.
Off his rocker. Are you kidding me?
Here's the problem. They can say all they want in whatever interview they're in, put out any news article. I think a lot of the American public is so over this narrative. They don't want to be told how to live their lives, what to do, wear a mask. I personally don't think, in my opinion, that people are going to fall for that again a lot. There's going to be some that do.
Well, we went over before, like the goalpost got moved so much that I don't think you can get anybody to trust anything anybody's saying, regardless of what side of the fence you're on.
I just think, like, especially with the masking, there is not sufficient data showing that did anything.
I'm not going back. You will have to fight me to put a mask back on my face.
My kids will never wear a mask again, ever. I don't want to ever wear a mask again.
They don't do anything. And I love that Fauci comes out and was like, well, yes, we have a study that shows they actually do nothing, but we should still do it.
Yeah, he flip-flops. It's like, and then he was trying to say that he never told, he never advised to have basically the country shut down. Meanwhile, back in 2020, there is literally him in an interview saying he advised to shut everything down.
I thought this guy retired. Why is he still
he's
around?
back now. He's back.
Dr. Malone says this is to market the booster vaccine that the government has already purchased for a variant that no longer exists. Pfizer and Moderna and the FDA cannot keep up with the rapid evolution of the single-stranded RNA virus under the selective pressure of these leaky vaccines. As predicted by myself and so many others years ago, there has never, ever been an effective human coronavirus vaccine. That's reality. There's never been a real one ever created that has kept up with the virus. It's a very fast-changing virus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, listen, is this serious for some people? Yeah,
absolutely.
Like the flu, elderly
Absolutely.
people, if they get the flu, it's something to worry about. Elderly people, if you get COVID, it's something to worry about.
And it depends on what your health conditions like.
Yeah.
If you have underlying, if you have autoimmune issues or, other underlying issues, yes, of course, that's going to affect you more than maybe other people. And that's why I believe that you should do what you think is best for your own health. Yeah. You're in control of your own health.
Which people just ignore. So his advice is like, take care of yourself, like eat healthy, have some activity in your life, build your immunity by taking vitamin D and zinc and all those things. He's like, my advice is take care of yourself. Don't eat donuts every morning and pizza every night. Don't take your health for granted.
Well, it also goes down to, too, if you're feeling sick, stay home.
Well, that's right. Stay home, wash your hands.
So simple.
Rest. You've kind of this isn't a new concept.
I think another thing that's really going to hurt this drive to go back to masking and all this sort of stuff, boosters again, is that I don't know of too many people who haven't caught this thing.
Right.
Boosted or not. So in the end of the day, the vast majority have survived it. Mm-hmm. And they've survived it like a serious bout of the flu at worst. Serious cold at best, whatever. I've had it twice since I've been boosted. So I think because so many people have now caught it, maybe once, twice, 3 times, and they're here to talk about it. It's
you kind of know how to handle it.
Hard to tell them or convince them it's time to social distance, time to, mask, time to not trap.
How are they going to convince people that this is so much more deadly than the other one?
Well, the facts, number one, on this variant is it's not.
It's not. It's not nothing to be worried about.
At least they're telling you that. It's not a serious variant like the last 3 or 4 or 5 haven't been serious. So the bottom line is,
well, that's why
is that a picture you got up of Whoopi Goldberg at home with a mask on?
This is Whoopi. Who best movie in the world is Ghost. I do love her in several movies. Oh,
Sister
and
Act
Sister
was
Act.
good.
The best. But she's on this really interesting show called The View, which is, hey, if you're bored one day, watch it. It's just a bunch of women talking over each other. But yeah, Whoopi Goldberg has the Rona, and she's home in a room alone in a mask. I'm not really sure why.
Taking extra precautions.
She's in a mask. She had a little public announcement for everyone, because everyone's so worried about her.
Everything you've heard, and let me just make sure you all know that it's actually me. say it's me. I am not at Burning Man. I am not still in Italy. I am not, doing stuff. I'm not trying to change the outcome of the election. I have
like Whoopi Goldberg's going to change the outcome of the election.
Funny. I mean, I'm still testing positive. Apparently, I have to have a clear test before I can come back. So it might be a couple of days.
So for the news no one asked for, Whoopi Goldberg needs to address.
Did you say she was in Italy?
She was, I think, at one point. She's letting everybody know because everyone's been wondering.
They're so
what Whoopi
worried
Goldberg's
about
doing.
her on The View.
How is this show still on? This is what I don't understand. How?
I don't know. I wonder what their viewership numbers are.
Oh, I can't tolerate that show at all.
It is hard to sit through. It's very hard.
Oh, my God.
For me, it's just hard to sit through because I agree with absolutely nothing they say. But most of all, it's just women talking over each other, and it's like the worst sorority house in the world. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it makes you cringe a little bit. Too many women talking at once.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's like Real Housewives, but like not funny.
But at least in Real Housewives, they throw tables at each other, and it's a little bit more interesting.
Or ripping off their like prosthetic legs and throwing it at each other.
Prosthetic legs. Who did
I mean,
that?
that's the TV we want. If you're not throwing your fake leg, we don't want it. So, I don't know about you. I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about masks. I don't want to hear about potential lockdowns. I don't want any of that. I think people, it was so horrendous to society as a whole. Like what we put kids through, what we went through as just human beings. Like I don't feel like any of that was good at all.
I mean,
it made people nuts.
Lockdowns
were terrible.
They were worse than useless.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I feel like no good came out of that. And who wants to live through that hell again? No one.
I'm a little nervous in New York because you've seen our leadership. I'm a little nervous for us here in New York because we tend to take we just tend to make the same mistakes over and over again. So I don't know. We'll see what happens this winter, this election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's going to be interesting.
Well, I will tell you, there's this one drug they have out there now that's used as
ivermectin?
Paxlovid, something that, of course, Pfizer came up with. The other stuff that you're talking about should be getting used, but I know on the horizon there is another one coming, which works better than what they have out there now from Pfizer. And that's, I think, what we need to do to battle this thing, just like with the flu, there was Tamiflu.
Yeah.
The Z-Pack. I just think that's where we need to be.
I don't even know if I trust that.
To fight these coronaviruses, you need something to help alleviate the symptoms.
Yeah.
Because this is not going away.
No.
Right.
It's not going to go away.
No, we have COVID forever now. Thank you, China. I don't want to get tagged in. We'll probably take that out. No, COVID will be around forever, just like the other SARS viruses have been around. I hope we don't use this as a weapon, though. And you're going to see some very interesting language from this administration, from some doctors like Fauci and Scott Gottlieb. Is that how you say his name?
Gottlieb.
All right. Hang on one second, Mike. He's another one he's a former senior bureaucrat for the FDA. He currently works for Pfizer and is an advisor for the CIA. Claims we already have the vaccine created from the other variants. They claim that because the vaccine is neutralizing antibodies in mice, so then it must be great for humans, which is an interesting thought process to myself. So you're going to see some interesting language coming out about COVID over the next several months. What is this?
This was something I saw on Instagram, and I just thought it was interesting. I'll wait till it starts over, but it's basically just how everything got so out of control. Like, it just was a virus. It was just 2 weeks. It was just a mask.
What will you do if they mask your children again?
I won't mask my children again.
So will you pull them out of school?
Yes. I will never. It makes me sick to my stomach when I think about kids being in masks. Honestly.
I
can't do it. We'll figure it out. I mean, you can always figure it out, and I will not do it.
Yeah,
promise you that.
I mean, they don't work, so
no, and they can't learn that way. It's horrible, especially any age, but
I mean, at an age,
it's so detrimental
at an
to them.
age, you're learning that like emotional intelligence to understand like how the world is perceiving you. But how do you do that when half of your face is covered?
Right. Or trying to make friends or trying to even like learn how to read. You just can't. And I'm not for it. So
thank you guys for listening today. We're going to leave you with this video.
Thanks for listening.